Well, first things first, I'm going to, of course, apologize to all of you because I have not been able to put up a new episode recently. The timing this past weekend was not good enough for me, basically, kind of messed things up. However, I decided, you know what, I'm going to make up for the weekend for certain events that you might have not been following, or you have, or you want to hear what's happened. And that's what we're going to do today. So we have 4 reviews for all of you. The first one is MLW Fusion, of course. We're seeing, of course, something going on. We have a breaking news coming from them for a new championship. We do have 2 title matches involved: the MLW World Middleweight Championship and the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. Then we move on with AEW Collision, of course, featuring the TNT Championship match. We even have, of course, a Cincinnati Street Fight between the Shane Taylor Promotions and the Death Riders, which is going to be a bloody murder type, if you know what I mean. And then we move on with Stardom. As you know, Stardom heads back to Korakuen Hall for another show as well, featuring, of course, championship matches such as, of course, the Future Belt, the Artists, and the Goddesses. So that's going to be a lot of fun to enjoy. And then finally, of course, we have New Japan Pro Wrestling with Dominion in Osaka Jo-Hall, featuring, of course, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, the Never Openweight Championship, the IWGP Global Championship, the Junior Heavyweight Championship Tag Team Belt, and, of course, the big one, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So it's going to be interesting. And then, of course, as always, we wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready with another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information has been unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got through Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, let's begin with MLW Fusion. Alright, MLW Fusion. Now, we opened up with the MLW World Middleweight Championship. Now, this is their version of the either the Cruiserweight, Light Heavyweight, or Junior Heavyweight, however you want to put it. And the current champion, Kushida, defends it against Alan Angels, also known as Five, if you guys remember. So, a week ago, it was supposed to be Alan Angels to face off for this belt, but however, he was brutally attacked by Kushida and Okumura. As you probably know, Kushida is a member of Contra Unit. And of course, it seems that Okumura is following his path, of course. Now, during the match, of course, Kushida was going to do whatever it takes to ensure this belt remain where it stays. And he used the referee to ensure that there was a bit of confusion. And that's exactly what he did. But he put Alan Angels in an armbar, and just like that, Angels had no choice but to tap out. But however, Kushida continues, and he wanted to punish him even further. However, he had a much better, bigger fish to fry, because now it's revealed that Okamura is now officially a member of Country Unit. So basically, it's now been confirmed from that. Now, Killer Kross, as you know, he's well aware who he's facing. As you know, as you probably may or may not have been aware of, he is the current MLW World Heavyweight Champion, and he got this belt from the former champion Matt Riddle, and now, of course, Riddle is going to try to reclaim what was taken from him, and that's exactly. So he set up of course, you know, Killer Kross is no idiot. He had some things to say about their past and the recent development between them for this belt, but that's only until the main event. Now, Alex Hammerstone appeared out of nowhere, and he seems like he was intending to attack Matt Riddle. Now, it doesn't take a genius what this is about. Alex Hammerstone, as you know, he's a former MLW World Heavyweight Champion. Would love nothing more to get this belt back, but Matt Riddle beat him to the punch. Because, of course, Matt Riddle's like, nope, Alex, this is my belt. I'm taking it back. So, getting back in the line. And, of course, security had to escort Hammerstone out. Now, our next match is a Chicago street fight between Josh Bishop and, of course, the one-man militia, Matthew Justice. And, man, this match was, like, going balls to the walls outside the ring. I mean, through the fans, putting people through table. But, however, I don't know how high Bishop applied, like, somewhat like kind of like a razor's edge onto Matthew Justice, and he tosses him, and just like that, he left him laying down like a dead duck, and then he had to climb down and pin him. 1, 2, 3, picked up the win. Now, a very interesting development has been announced. MLW has revealed there's going to be a brand new championship, and this one's called the MLW Southern Crown Title Championship. So I don't know what this is supposed to mean. If you're probably wondering what championships they do have in their possession. The World Heavyweight title, the Tag Team belts, the World Middleweight, the Featherweight, and the National Openweight Championship, and now the Southern Crown. So basically, they got 6 belts in their possession, so it makes perfect sense. Now, of course, this is part 2 of their match, Matt Riddle versus Killer Kross, and this one is for the MLW World Heavyweight title. Now, many of you may or may not have been aware of Matt Riddle was the previous champion until Killer Kross claimed it for himself, and now he wants to bring it. And of course, Matt Riddle did everything humanly possible to try to take them down, but however, things did not go according to plan, because I'm going to say this match ended in no contest with the interference of Alex Hammerstone. So things got chaotic from there, and no one knew how to stop this. However, we were supposed to hear from, of course, the MLW president, Cesar Duran, but however, Contra Unit has made it clear what they're planning. As you know, Kroll or Max Kruger is gone from Contra. They say they obliterated, of course, Cesar Duran. We don't know what this really means, so they're sending a warning once again. Contra, who's been a thorn and a dark chapter of MLW's history, has now reclaiming what belongs to them. So now we're going to see what's going to happen as we get there. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for MLW Fusion. Let's move on, of course, with AEW Collision Summer Blockbuster. Alright. AEW Collision Summer Blockbuster. We opened up with Kenny Omega taking on Bad Dude Tito. Now, for many of you who may or may not remember what happened, Zack Sabre Jr. is returning back for Forbidden Door, and this time he calls out Kenny. So, Zack Sabre Jr. sent one of his own stablemates to, let's just say, see what Kenny's made of course. And Kenny, of course, won this match by applying the One-Winged Angel, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, of course, Kenny put out a promo. He knows exactly who's messing with because, of course, he's not an idiot. He knows that he's dealt with guys like Bryan Danielson and not to mention Nigel McGuinness. But he did mention that once things are settled with Zack Sabre Jr., he's going to walk his way back to the top and handle MJF. As you know, he is still aiming for the AEW World title. Now, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, as you probably know, Davis was not happy with the fact that he did not advance in the Owen Hart tournament, but Fletcher tried to say, well, the person who caused you this is Takeshita. So basically that was the whole thing. And of course, Okada told Fletcher that we need to return the AEW International title back to the Don Callis family. And that's probably the big thing that they're trying to do. Reclaim belts that they lost. And we may see that at some point. Now, our next match is a qualifying match for the survival of the fittest qualifier, of course, for the vacant TBS championship. We had Hikaru Shida versus Zeta Steel. Now, of course, I had a feeling that this one was going to go with Shida because Shida has never held the TBS championship. Now, we know she is a 3-time AEW Women's World Champion, so obviously that plays out. But she was able to defeat Zeta Steel by applying a submission, and just like that, Zeta Steel tapped out. Now, of course, Lexi Neer conducted an interview with Diops. Bowens was saying that he is happy to have a teacher like Samoa Joe about violence. And then, of course, Hook reminded him, we need to take out anybody that stands in our way. And, of course, that's exactly what they're planning to do. Now, our next match, we have Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier of the Rascals taking on a couple of dudes named Austin and Aaron Atlas. I don't know who these guys are, but of course this was going to fall in favor of the Rascals because to me it looked more like a squash match. So they defeated them by applying the Fire Flame. Was pinned by Zachary Wentz, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. And then, of course, they decided to do a little promo, and then later after that, they called in the young GOAT, Myron Reed, who is in fact in the TNT Championship match against Kevin Knight. And I have to say, Myron Reed really, really surprised us a whole lot. He pulled off every stop he could to take down Kevin Knight, but in the end, it was not enough. Kevin Knight was able to retain the belt by pinfall. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, Athena, as you know, is in the Owen Hart tournament. So, however, as you probably can guess, she's facing against her own student, and now she is in fact facing Tiara James as a way to send a message to her. And of course, she did that she put the Koji clutch onto Tiara James, and she just tapped out. Then she wanted to punish her more until, of course, Maya World showed up to deal with her. But of course, Athena is trying to tell her, you're not going to pass me. You are not even in my level. So it's like saying that she's going to win this one no matter what. But we'll see, because Maya World pulled up all the stops, against Sky Blue. Someone who may have better experience than her, but we'll see. Now, Ricochet, as you probably can guess, he is still pissed off that he lost the AEW National Championship. But however, he is calling out Takeshita. Basically, he wants the International Championship. Well, we'll see what that goes. But if I was Takeshita, I get some friends to deal with Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Now, we did have the dogs. David Finlay and Clark Connors taking on the Young Bucks. I thought this match was fantastic. It was great. I mean, many of us saw some great spots on this match. Many of us might have thought that the Bucks was going to pick up the win, but no. It was, of course, the dogs with the full clip onto Matt Jackson, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Connors picked up the win for himself and for Finlay as well. Now, of course, the conglomeration, more specifically Ishii, Strong, and Roderick, and of course O'Reilly, as you probably can guess, they're talking about Forbidden Door for the steel cage in hopes that they win in order for Mark Briscoe to get an opportunity of the AEW World title and bring it back to the conglomeration. And that's something they're going to determine to do so. Now, Tony Schiavone, as you know, decided to apologize to the public about what transpired with Tekla. As you know, Tekla is declaring death to Stardom, which is their partners in Japan. And Tekla, as you know, was hearing all this, decided, I'm not going to apologize for what I'm doing. I'm not going to apologize to Stardom, AEW, or anybody. So that's exactly what she was planning to do. Now, the Bang Bang Gang, more specifically Colton and Colton and Austin Gunn, along with Ace Austin and Juice Robinson. Well, it seems that they're not done with the dogs, so apparently they have some unfinished business to deal with them. Now, we did have another qualifier match between Julia Hart and Persephone for the survival of fittest. As you probably may or may not remember, Julia Hart spit the black mist into the eye of Persephone, and you probably can guess this was a way to get a little payback for what happened. And I'm sure Persephone was looking forward to get that payback, and she did when she applied the razor's edge. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she joined Shida in part of the survival of the fittest. Now, Tekla was informed by Lexingir about, of course, some good news. It was later foretold that Starlight Kid will be challenging her at Forbidden Door, as you probably can guess. So that's exactly what's going to happen. So Starlight Kid is going to fight for the honor of Stardom. Now, Mike Bailey takes on Jake Doyle, someone who he knows from the Independents, now siding with the Don Callis family. And of course, Mike Bailey, as you know, we would have assumed he would have had the opportunity to pick up the win, but somehow Jake Doyle knew exactly what he was going to do. He tried to apply the ultimate weapon. Jake Doyle moved out of the way, and then, of course, applied a powerbomb onto Bailey. 1, 2, 3, done. Our main event is the Cincinnati Street Fight, of course, between the Death Riders and Shane Taylor Promotions. As you know, Shane Taylor made it clear that saying that the Death Riders, you have gone so soft, so get the F out of our way, and we're going to be the true dangerous ones. And that's exactly what happened. And I thought it was crazy. I mean, there was blood everywhere, all sorts of objects and sort of things. But the one thing that I did not anticipate, as you all know, Marina Shafir likes to wrestle without her shoes. And of course, Trish Adora thought this would be a perfect opportunity to teach her a lesson without wearing shoes, but it backfired because it had no effect onto her, and she just kicked Trish Adora out of Sunday. But unfortunately, of course, Shane Taylor once again ended up falling to Jon Moxley with the Death Rider, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So Death Riders win the street fight. So that's pretty much how things ended with AEW Collision Summer Blockbuster. So let's move on with our next review, and that is, of course, Stardom. Okay, Stardom Nighter in Korakuen Hall 2026. This is, of course, the much recent show that happened this past Sunday. Now, we opened up with tag team action. Hanako teaming up with Saya Ida, and they're facing against Matoi, Hamabe, and Hanan. Now, of course, you can consider this match a preliminary match, of course, between both Ida and Hana. Now, if you guys remember, after the Queen's Dynasty event, after their Hanan was successful and defeated Bea Priestley, she nominated Ida for her opponent. So you probably can guess who's going to try to build up momentum. But however, in this case, Hanako was able to pick up the win by pinning Hamabe, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. So that means Ida gets the momentum on this one. So we'll see how things will go as we head to conversion. Now, our next match, we have the Ito Respect Army, consistent of Rian, Kiko Furuzawa, and Makito. Now, officially, they're not an official unit, but to me, that's who they are anyway. They're facing against Neo Genesis, more specifically MMA Shima, Starlight Kid, and Meisera, who we haven't seen for quite some time. So it seems now Neo Genesis are back on track, not only with MMA Shima as the newest member of God's Eye, of Neo Genesis, but Meisera coming back. So it kind of tells us how well they can work together now as a unit. I mean, look, we know that Starlight Kid, Meisera, they can coexist together as a tag team, and they can coexist with the other two, of course, with O2 Line. And that pretty much can tells us that, of course. But however, the one thing I did not anticipate is how this thing ended. Rian was able to pick up the win onto Mai Shima, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. It was done. Now, as you know, while Stardom was having their show, apparently Starlight Kid was paying attention what was really happening across the Pacific, most specifically in Cincinnati. So as you know, she's been hearing the nonsense that Tekla has been running her mouth, calling Steph to Stardom and all that. So she decided enough is enough. I'm gonna deal with this biatch and I'm gonna take care of it. And that's exactly what she's gonna do. So it's now been confirmed officially that she will be facing Tekla at Forbidden Door. Now, our next match, we have Ane Kanaya and our current world champion, of course, Sayaka Kurara. Now, this has nothing to do with the belt. This is more like an assessment. Now, for those who did not know this, Ane Kanaya wanted to join the Cosmic Angels. But, however, as you all know, the Cosmic Angels recruitment is kind of unique. Joining the group was not something simpler because if you guys ever followed the recruitment, when it was just the originals with Tam, Mina, and Nagi, Tam gladly accepted the invitation by Mai Sakura to join, and then they invited Waka. So there was no assessment or anything. And then, of course, we did had later on Natsupoi, who joined due to the fact that Tam and Natsupoi had a long history together as friends from the independents back in the day and that sort of thing. And of course, when Yuna Mizumori first came around, they started doing the assessments, and that kind of continues on in a new tradition. And of course, I'm sure Kurara gets her assessment, but of course, it wasn't that simpler for Kanaya because she was taken out in a Tokimeki spear, and just like that, it was over. 1, 2, 3. Of course, Kurara escorted her out of the ring, knowing too well that she did pretty well. So I'm sure she's going to say that she has a lot to improve on herself. So we'll see about that. Now, what we did not anticipate is the return of Momo Watanabe. Now, as you all know, she did came back for the last match that features Saki Kashima. But, of course, Momo was not 100% during that time. But she did it out of, I don't know if it's obligation or a favor, however you want to put it. But she now is back, and of course she has some unfinished business to deal with. Now, personally, I would think that she wants to aim for the World of Stardom Championship. That's something I know for a fact she wants. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Xena teaming up with the ladies from Mi Vida Loca, consisting of Kiri Kurigani and Izuki Aoki, taking on the ladies of God's Eye, consisting of Kyoko Kotatsu, Manami Matamo or Hamato, and Shuri. Now, of course, originally we were supposed to have Tomoka Inaba, but however, due to some circumstances, she withdrew from this match or whatever. But yes, another God's Eye member who we hardly see here is now in it. But in the end, it was, of course, Xena that picked up the win by applying a German suplex onto Kotatsu, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. And I wouldn't be surprised if, by any means necessary, that if Zuzu invites Xena to join Mi Vida Loca, I mean, I feel like she would fit in, because right now, as you probably can see, it seems like the former members of EXV, more specifically Waka, Rian, and of course, possibly Xena, could be joining their find new homes. And that's something I'm sure we could expect. Now, our next match, we have Hate, consistent of Azusa Inaba, Raka, Konami, and Natsuko Tora, taking on Utami Ishida, Fuwa-chan, Maika, and Sayori Anu. Now, of course, when it comes to Hate, we all know their MO. They like to cheat. They like to use weapons, distractions, whatever it means necessary. But in this case, as you know, Hate are keeping an eye on the one person that they did not expect that she would come back, and that is Utami Ishida. Momo Watanabe, as you know, a former member of Queen's Quest, someone who she knows Utami Ishida very well. Well, let's just say she got a little bit of pound of flesh on her by using the bat. And then, of course, she was taken out by Natsuko Tora with the Swanton, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have, of course, the Future of Stardom Championship. Miku Kane is the challenger. For those who don't know, Rane Yagami once again participated in the annual wave tournament known as Catch the Wave, which you will get the Regina the Wave championship opportunity. And Ronnie Agami nominated Miku Kane as her opponent. Now, for those who don't know, she just been around for almost a year or two, and she fits in the category of the 3-year learning experience. And of course, this match was going to end with Yagami picking up the win. She actually picked it up by applying the Beat Buster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our next match, we have the Cosmic Carnival, consistent of Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori, and Natsupoi, and they actually pulled off the Kozen dance, which is pretty cool. They faced the current champions, of course, God's Eye members, Lady C, Hina, and Ami Soda. And I thought this match was fantastic. I mean, we all know exactly how these trio teams have been forming up. But unfortunately, Sakura ended up on the wrong side of the Like a Thunderbolt by Ami Sodi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, Sakura on the post-match was feeling frustrated that she was unable to obtain it. But Ami Sodi told her that you and I are similar. We both went out on injuries at certain times. So that would make absolute sense. And I'm sure that Sakura will love nothing more to challenge for those belts once again. But however, of course, they have to deal with the Ito Respect Army. So that's something we're definitely going to see. Now, it's finally here, the long-awaited championship match, the Goddesses of Stardom Championship. O2 line, consistent of Miyu Amasaki and Azumi of Neo Genesis, defend these belts against FWC, Koguma and Azuki, former tag champions, don't get me wrong, and that is something that would put them to the test. Now remember, Koguma and Azuki, their friendship is unique. They knew each other from the very beginning. They're both from Fukuoka. They actually started out together. They even were roommates together, of course. And they debuted together, of course, as opponents. And that kind of puts it up into the test, knowing you never faced a team like them before. And I think that's where O2 Line has to realize this is not a team that is going to be easy to take down. But, however, somehow Azumi was able to pick up the win by applying the Azumi Sushi on Azuki, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. And then, of course, during the post-match row, we did see a bit of a respect between both teams, and that was it. However, it doesn't take too long for new challengers to call their shots, and the persons that did that is none other than Hanako and Maika. So we most likely will see our next challengers very, very soon. So that's how things ended in Stardom. However, we did see Utami Ishida went to see her former teammates, Azumi and Miyu Amasaki. As you know, Utami Ishida is not asking to reform Queen's Quest. Let's just say she's asking for help to deal with hate. And of course, Azumi is willing to do so because Azumi has her fair issues towards Kamitani. And so basically it's more like, we may not be in the same team, but we still have the same enemy. So we'll see how things go from there. But as of right now, we're done. Let's move on to our last review, and that is, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion at Osaka Jo-Hall also happened on a Sunday. Now, we opened up with the New Japan World Television title between Sanada and Konosuke Takeshita. Now, for those who may not remember what happened, Takeshita's belt was taken from him before his match against Chase Owens, and some mysterious figure just showed up out of nowhere and took it. Turned out to be Sanada, so it seems like he's trying to say, this is my belt. And of course, being a member of the House of Losers, he's definitely was going to try to pick up wins on this one. However, he tried to play dirty by taking out the referee, then using the guitar onto Takeshita. But it did not it backfired until Takeshita took him out with the Raging Fire, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match is a no disqualification match. We have Jake Lee versus El Phantasmo. Of course, if you saw what happened last time, Jake Lee was completely out of his goddamn mind. Tried to hurt Yado, but Phantasmo was not going to let him get away with it. And of course, we were going to see a classic Phantasmo. Many of you may not remember. During his time with the Bullet Club, of course, he used to have the thing where he had his shoe loaded up. So he was planning to do that in hopes to take down Jake Lee, but it was just too late. Jake Lee applied a big boot, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now our next match, we were supposed to have like this whole one-on-one between Ryohei Oiwa and Yuya Uemura, but however, Taichi wanted to get involved. So Ryohei Oiwa got himself his own tag partner, so he brought in, of course, Zack Sabre Jr., someone that Taichi has teamed up in the past. So you can say this would have been more of the younger generation who are trying now to show what they're all about. But it was Taichi who picked up the win, pinning Oiwa, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, we have two of the best junior heavyweight competitors in the world, of course. El Desperado versus the man, the myth, the legend, of course, Místico. As you all know, these two men are the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. And I think this is a match that I think many of us wanted to see. We know they're the best of what they can do in their own division. And that's something that we probably will be okay. But the real question is, who is going to walk out? I'm sure Místico has been watching Desperado, what he can do. And Despy does the same thing. But however, of course, it only took one opportunity for El Desperado to apply El Número Dos on his tag partner. And just like that, Místico tapped out. So that kind of plays out pretty well. Now, our next match is the Never Openweight Championship. Aaron Wolf, as you know, he is the former champion, taking on the person that stole that belt from him, thanks to his cheating ways, Ren Narita. Now, of course, wherever Ren Narita is, the losers will be not that far away, because that's what they do. They like to cheat. They want to say, we're tough. Losers. No. Sorry, guys. You are the losers. That's what you guys are. And, of course, we were going to see them involved, but thank God for Hantai, they made their choice. We saw Takeshita and Yano cleaning house until, of course, Aaron Wolf applied the angle slam on Narita, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios, Narita, and it's over. So we have a brand new Never Openweight champion, but however, he is a two-time Never Openweight champion, and not to mention, is now been foretold because he won this match, there is the possibility he will be entering the G1 Climax. As you know, we're not that far off from this awesome tournament. Now, our next match is the IWGP Tag Team Championship. Our challengers is the United Empire, Great-O-Khan and Hinari. Now remember, these guys were former tag champions, but they had to relinquish the belt because Hinari got injured. They claimed that they never lost it, and they never did, and that's exactly what they did. They're facing a team who has been synonymous of late for months, since last year, since returning from excursion. We're talking about Yuto Ice and Oscar of the Naga Bros, and I have to say the match was insane. But of course, Great-O-Khan decided to cheat by using a chair onto Oscar, shoving the referee in hopes they win and that kind of thing. And then finally, they applied the Imperial Bomb onto Yuto Ice, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Khan and Hinari are now tag team champions. And I'm sure Yuto Ice and Oscar will love nothing more, get a little payback for that loss. Now, our next match is the IWGP Global Championship. We have a three-way on this one. We have, of course, Drilla Maloney versus Shota Umino versus Andrade El Idolo. So this was one of those chaotic moments, like you don't know how this is going to end. But yes, and people were behind Maloney on this one because they want to see him winning, and that's exactly. But unfortunately, it did not, because Shota Umino was able to defeat Andrade with the second chapter, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new IWGP Global Champion. Now, however, Shota Umino intended to do a promo, but he was sneaked attack from behind by Gabe Kidd, who is now declaring war against New Japan, and not to mention, he's calling Shota Umino that he is a traitor to Death Riders. So that kind of sets it up. But of course, Maloney was like in shock to see. But I don't know what's going to happen from there. Now, our next match, we have the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Yo, as you all know, is the winner of the Best of the Super Juniors who has now finally get the opportunity to have an against Doiki. But of course, you all know Doiki a member of the House of Losers, and of course, Sho was going to get involved, and that's exactly what he tried to do. But however, when it comes to removing the referee, that's when they make their mark. Doiki even used use a lot of things. Sho gets involved, but thank God for Master Wato for getting involved. Even Tanahashi gets involved too. But however, it was Yo who was able to pick up the win by applying, of course, the direct drive, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he is finally the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. But however, of course, Sho is like saying, "You're gonna give me the title. It's my belt. It belongs to me." But he's like passing him because Yo has no intentions in defending the belt. He was looking at the one person who he beat during the finals, and he was looking at Kosa Fujita, who was in the commentary booth watching. So I'm sure that's what he wants. But Sho was like crying like a little bitch about it, like wants the title shot. He attacked Yo, and then of course Master Wato attacked him. So now it seems that we got sharks in the water hunting for this belt. So the real question is, who's going to take first crack at it? So, but if I was Yo, get rid of Sho first, because he's nothing more than a crybaby with big diapers. Now, our next match, well, this one is a bit of a rematch. The IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Yota Tsuji taking on Cal Newman. As you know, Cal Newman defeated him for this belt, and now he gets another opportunity. And that's the real question. How is he going to survive? However, we know that since the new attitude, he was going to definitely try to win. But however, he might have injured himself in this match. You can see the look of his shoulder. And of course, he was like this, like putting his arm on the ribs or whatever. But it took multiple times for Yota Tsuji to apply the Gene Blaster, but it was no luck until he finally got it. 1, 2, 3. We regained the championship, and he's our brand new IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So we'll see how things will go. So I'm sure we're going to get more information on the upcoming G1, and we're going to see who's going to be the next person, the challenger. So we'll see what happens. Until then, we're done with our reviews. Let's move on to wrap up our episode with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin, of course, with upcoming events. Now, we do have updates from the promotion known as Produce. As you know, their first show will take place on the 29th of this month of June. It's called Volume 1, The Octopus. Now, 2 more matches have been added. The first one is a women's trios match. We have NX, Janai Kai, and Jordan Blade taking on Nomi, Shaky, and Emerson Jane. I don't know who those other 2 persons are. And then we have, of course, Cowboy Weight, consistent of one called Manders, Thomas Shire. They take on Adam Pearce and Dynamite Kid, which is going to be interesting. Then we have the Volume 2 show, which is Tiger Style. That'll happen on the 16th of July. They also announced an 8-woman tag team match. We have Janai Kai, Jordan Blade, Nixie NX, and Steph Delanders taking on Ali Catch, Dark Sheik, Emerson Jane, and of course Rana Agami, our current future champion. So we were told that Stardom talent will be here in these events. I'll explain more a little bit. And then of course they did announce the 3 more names for the upcoming 15-man Magic Ticket Battle Royal. Number 9 we have Manny Lowe, number 10 Teriyaki, and number 11 Jay Lucas. Now, as you know, they'll be making their way to Montreal for Purdue. They announced 2 matches. One is Fuwa-chan will take on Nixie NX, and then we have Azuki taking on Lizzie Hall. Now, remember I mentioned Stardom talent will be there. They did announce that Azuki, Rana Agami, and Fuwa-chan will be participating at the Montreal event on the 26th of July, and then, of course, on the 3rd of August in Brooklyn. However, Shuri, as you know, has been mentioned that she'll be participating in their shows. However, hers is different. She will be only participating on August 3rd instead. Now, we do have more updates for upcoming events here too. House of Glory Inferno on the 19th. Ricky Souza will be taking on The Amazing Red. GCW, the last ones left, it'll happen on the 26th in Indianapolis. Bang and Matthews will take on Top Team. I don't know who those guys are. Then we have, of course, the Hiroyo Matsumoto 20th anniversary show in Shinjuku Face on the 27th of August. They announced Starlight Kid and Jungle Kyono will be participating. That's pretty good right there. We do have RevPro more with the Women's Grand Prix that will happen on the 25th of July. Jessica Troy will be there. She is number 4 on the spot. Then we have the ETU event, Summer Madness 4 on the 25th of July. Bear Bronson will be participating. Then we have the collaboration between West Coast Pro and PrideStyle in Rooted on the 25th as well. And then they have Titus Alexander taking on Adam Priest. And then finally, Pandemonium at the end of the summer that will happen on August 5th. We did have an 8-man tag team match participating. We had Okumura, Andrew Cass, and Vinny Masario taking on Blue Panther and the Cajun Catch Revival. So that's going to be awesome right there. Now on to some developments, of course. As you all know, we've been hearing that indie promotions are now being served as that they're going to be part of the streaming service by My AEW. And the latest promotion that will be participating is C4 Wrestling, which is a Canadian promotion. I've seen this promotion at least once or twice. I might have did a review of one of them, but yes. Now, Wrestling Observer has reported that Jack Perry, his contract is almost up with AEW. However, reports are coming in saying that, of course, that there's been negotiations for a new deal. We don't know exactly what the extent is, but we will keep an eye on that. Now, Sareee, as you know, was a bit surprised to find out that Takumi Iroha will not be taking her spot for the Owen Hart, but they put Maya World. So she was a bit of surprise about that. But of course, because I don't know if a whole lot of people know who Takumi Iroha is, if they're big time Yoshi fans. I don't know if you guys are yourselves, if you guys know who she is. Chavo Guerrero, of course, let's just say he's getting sick and tired of this whole thing about which company is better. Chavo mentioned this, and I think I praise him a lot for this. He says, look, it doesn't matter what company is better. At least they have some good matches. If they had good matches in AAA, AEW, TNA, CML, wherever. And he doesn't get this whole thing because we know that WWE fans are saying, oh, WWE is the best. They're better. Everybody can go suck it. That kind of thing. And I think Chavo's getting sick and tired of this whole thing. And I don't blame him, you know. He has every right to be like, come on, bro. They're pretty good matches. I mean, look. I stopped watching AAA, but I enjoyed the mass versus mass with both El Grande Americanos in it. That's one of the best matches I've ever watched. So, that's me on that level. So, now you know a bit about me, guys. So, that's pretty much it we have for everything on our news updates. So, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have NXT. A lot is going to happen, as you know. The chaos is definitely going to continue. But if there's anything else that I'm definitely going to be doing, I know there's Chocopro and the Baka Gaijin Friends event, so I may cover those, but we'll see how things go. But I will cover up on what's going on with Jack Perry on if there is a new deal with AEW. Who knows? But we'll see. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang!